I was given a third chance at life. And I knew that I was here for a purpose, but that's true for everybody. And if we could just harness that within ourselves of, no, I'm here for a purpose, I'm here for a reason, I'm going to make it. Clear out the noise from the outside and just go forward, focused, and trust your purpose, I think that a lot more women would take the risk.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to Her Table, Her Rules. I'm Juliet Peters, your host, and I'm thrilled today to have Sam Harper with us. And Sam does a lot of really unique things. And so we're going to talk about kind of how she found what it is she's doing now, and like where she came from. And so I know that you are a 3-time cancer survivor.
Yes.
So let's talk about, sort of that first, and how that impacted your journey to doing, for example, sound healing and then some of the coaching that you're doing right now.
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
Oh my gosh, the cancer journey has been a whirlwind, of course. And let's see, my cancer journey started 21 years ago.
Yeah.
So it's been almost more, actually, it has been more of my life than without my life that I've been in my cancer journey. My first cancer was when I was 20 years old, and it was the most aggressive cancer, 3C melanoma, and I only had a 20% chance of living, but I didn't know that when I was going through it. Luckily for me at the time, there was no ChatGPT, there was no fast Googling it. And so I was blind to the statistics of it all. And I'm really grateful for that because I think that would have gotten a hold of me. Now round 2 and round 3, those come 10 years later, and I had a lot more access, but I had a lot more wisdom. And I knew not to look at the statistics of recurrence and what my rate of survival was, because it was much, much lower. It was 5%. And had I looked at those numbers and believed those numbers, I don't know if my will was strong enough. So I think there's some beauty in being naive and not knowing it all and just allowing the unfolding to occur and trusting and carrying strength within yourself, within your being, and trusting and having faith. And what cancer really taught me was, for one, how to advocate very, very strong for my health, and that I know my body better than anybody knows my body, better than the physicians knew my body at the time, and how to speak up for what I needed. And so it's taught me so much, but also perspective and what's important and what I have time for, what I don't have time for, and what my limitations and my boundaries are. So it's much grander than just dealing with cancer. It was infiltrating every single aspect of my life, and it's taught me lessons that I got condensed into a short time, that has served me very, very well in my life as an entrepreneur and a speaker and a sound healer, a healer in general, and just as a human being, and how I develop my relationships with people, who I develop my relationships with people. And I'm very grateful for the experience.
Yeah, I think that's such an amazing perspective. And it's not lost on me that when you come from a struggle like that, really with your health, to sort of turn that into helping others, right? In a way that is really important. And I tell me about kind of, because I know you do so many different things, but it seems like you sort of started with the sound healing. How did you kind of get into the sound healing journey? And how did your business then evolve from sound healing into these other modalities that you're doing? You're trained in trauma, are you not?
I am.
Yeah.
And that's actually where it all started.
Yeah.
So I think it's actually really funny. I never proclaimed myself as the sound healer. That's what the community proclaimed me as. And I graciously bring it in and I hold it. And it's a huge part of my life and what I do, but it's not the only thing that I do.
Right.
And so I started as a trauma therapist, and I worked in behavioral health for almost a decade before I transitioned into what I do now, which is high-level executive coaching, thought leadership, conscious leadership development in the corporate space and with entrepreneurs, but also with the integration of energetics and frequency and sound. And that's been a huge part of my business in its organic growth.
Yeah.
I also like part of the letting go and trusting and allowing things to unfold is I never planned on being a sound healer for people. It was chosen for me, and I just trusted enough to follow it and go deep into it and allow myself to be immersed in that. And now I get to heal so many people and guide them back to their own truth. And it's been a really beautiful part of my evolution in my career. But yes, it's trauma informed. And so that's how I go into all of my work is trauma informed first.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there doing a lot of really beautiful work, but doesn't have the backbone of trauma.
Yeah.
And that can be a dangerous space. And so really navigating and teaching people how to ethically and with integrity be in this space. And just because you've had a personal experience with a modality that feels really beautiful doesn't mean that you go serve that modality.
Yeah.
And so that's a big piece of what I advocate for now too is, yes, it can transform your life, but you don't have to go do it. You can allow something to just be for you, not for others. So it started off with trauma therapy. And how did I end up in sound healing? Well, it was a journey of my own in recovering from cancer and going through a divorce. And I found myself in a sound healing session. And there was one particular frequency that triggered fear in my body. Mm-hmm. And I was very curious about how could this sound scare me? Yeah. And I was like, there's no way a sound is going to scare me. Yeah. And so I did a deep dive into it. I talked to the facilitator and she's like, oh, this is the root chakra sound, like frequency. I was like, okay. So I went and bought that bowl. Yeah. And I healed my root chakra. Mm-hmm. And I got very, very familiar with that frequency. And now it's one of my favorites. Yeah. And it's beautiful. But it was my own root, my own foundation that needed healing to be able to grow upon. And then that developed into, well, I love my root chakra bowl. What about my heart chakra bowl? What about the throat chakra bowl? And then I, over time got my own full set and had it set up in my home and would play for myself. And again, I never intended on playing for other people, but people were very curious. And I have a background in alternative methods of therapy. That was my undergrad degree. And then in my master's continued with expressive art therapy and trauma. So I used a lot of music in my therapy practice, music therapy and processing and music theory, composition, all of these things. So I'm very familiar with how to use the function of harmonies and how they affect the body. Yeah. And then over time with enough people asking, well, can you play for me? Can you do this? I want to hear it. And then, like I said, it was chosen for me.
It's so interesting to me too, because I think that, a lot of the sort of new frontier of medicine, right, is related to frequency, it's related to sound, it's related to light. And it's so fascinating how the things that we used to put in the alternative box out here, right, are now meeting science kind of in the middle, right? Yes. And I know from my own personal experience, I have had probably some of my biggest breakthroughs in a sound healing modality, which if had you told me that, I would have been like, you're out of your mind. Right. I didn't ever think sound could produce, breakthroughs like I have had with drum circles or sound therapy. It's very, very interesting to me, the whole frequency and sound connection to how we store trauma in our body. Yeah. Yeah.
It's so incredibly fascinating. And I'm very grateful that now it's trending and it's something that people it's not fringe any longer. It's part of, it's common now. Yeah. When I started playing for community and for the public about 9 years ago, it was still very fringe and on the outside. And people would think I'm a weirdo. And I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Like, why don't you lay down for 2 minutes? Give me I only need 2 minutes of your time. And they would come out transformed. And it's because, you know, when we're dealing and feeling deep emotions, but we don't have the words for it and we can't articulate it.
Yeah.
The sound doesn't need your words.
Absolutely.
It meets you exactly where you're at.
Yeah.
And I always joke around, you can't BS the bowls. Like, you can't lie your way through frequency. It's going to meet you right there, and it's going to bust through the block.
Yeah.
And it's going to expand you, and it's going to take you to a deeper position of consciousness that words can't always get us to.
Yeah. So how did you then make the leap from, you know, sort of doing this to going into CEO coaching? Because that's a big leap, and somebody who is not as centered or as grounded would probably, you know, think to themselves, well, do I have the qualifications to do that? Right. So how did you kind of meet that? Did you ever think about that? Did you ever have one moment of doubt, or did you just kind of dive right in?
So I'll tell you a story about how this happened. So I started off being a therapist and then transitioned into executive coaching because another coach was a little in over their head. And they called me in as a consult of, can you help me? Can you piggyback off of this? And I was like, oh, yeah, no problem. I got you. Because it was more trauma leaning. Right. And so I was like, okay, I'll help out with this one project. So I came on to the project. And at the time, I had left my behavioral health practice and I was working in a nonprofit in crisis intervention and management for an international relief and development nonprofit. So I was helping some of the C-suite at that time. That wasn't my technical job to help them. I was the only one in the organization who was qualified to help with reintegration back from third world countries. Yeah. So combined with that and coming in on this consult, I learned very quickly, oh, I need to be doing this. Like, this is the better fit, actually. In the organization that I worked at, I think you'll find this fascinating. The woman in HR said that I was rising too fast. Oh my. I had gotten a raise and a promotion within my first 6 months of being there. Yeah. And then the next 6 months I was up for another promotion that was actually a really incredible fit. And she's, you're the perfect fit, but we can't give you the position because you're rising too fast. And I said, that's enough. Yeah. I'm okay. Bye. Yeah. I put my 2 weeks in and decided to trust myself fully and completely and trust my education, my experience, and all of the people who I'd worked with before, and took the big leap into entrepreneurship, which has always been in my system from a very young age. So I didn't have doubts about it. If anything, it gave me fuel, and it fueled my fire of like, oh, you said I can't do that? Watch me.
Exactly.
And so now my tagline, everybody knows, is, when I'm rising, so are you. Yeah. Because there will be no world that I live in that somebody tells me that I'm rising too fast. And I absolutely will not continue that message. And if anything, I want people to know if I can do that, so can you. I'm a model for what's possible, and I'm still going. Yeah. And so it was that transition. So I didn't have hesitation. Yeah. If anything, I was a little delusional in my confidence.
That's okay. Yeah. Delusional in confidence is, we may as well err on that side for a bit instead of on the other side. Like, we need more degrees. We need it. Yeah. So I support that, sister. I think that's a good thing. Good. So that's really interesting to me, though, because when I talk to women entrepreneurs, they often have stories like this, like someone told them, no, you can't do that, or no, you shouldn't do that, or, and that really kind of fuels them. Right. And I think that's really, that's kind of how we're all banded together, right? If someone tells you you can't do it, and then you are like, well, watch me. I'm not only can I do it, but I'm going to run right over the top of you while I do it. So, but I think that, that idea of really betting on yourself is something we should talk about for a second, because I think not everyone comes to the conclusion that you did, right? Your conclusion was, I have this expertise, I'm going to bet on myself, right? But not everyone gets there. A lot of times people will doubt that their expertise is enough to carry them into a new business.
Right.
Yeah.
And it can be a scary thing, right?
Yeah.
It's not that I didn't have fear at times. But I guess if we come back to cancer, right? I'm like, I
Right.
survived that. I guess I can,
Right.
I'll take a risk over here. And also part of the delusional confidence for me in particular in my journey, my story is that I was given a third chance at life.
Yeah.
And I knew that I was here for a purpose, but
Yeah.
that's true for everybody.
Yeah.
And if we could just harness that within
Right.
ourselves of, no, I'm here for a purpose. I'm here for a reason. I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
And clear out the noise from the outside and just go forward, focused and trust your purpose.
Yeah.
I think that a lot more women would take the risk.
Yeah.
You know, it's the noise on the outside that gets muddy.
I think you're right. And I think the other thing is that you did something different than a lot of people would because you had a zone of expertise. Your zone of expertise was in therapy,
Mm-hmm.
right? But you sort of went to your zone of genius. What is it that is really unique about me
Mm-hmm.
that I'm able to bring out?
Right.
And
Right.
not everyone gets there. I mean, I think
Yeah.
that's hard to make that leap from what do I excel at
Mm-hmm.
to what am I really here to bring?
Yeah, I think, you know, it comes with a lot of self-discovery
Mm-hmm.
and curiosity of who you are. Not who people say you are, not the limitations, not the shoulds, not the system part of you, but who am I? When I can strip away all of that, my quirks, my isms, my weird parts of me, and all of the other parts,
Yeah.
right? And that's what makes us beautifully designed in our gifts in that we need to share with the world.
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of people just try to stay in a pretty box with a bow.
Yeah.
And that's just not what it's meant to be. We're supposed to be all of it,
Yeah.
uncontained and beautiful in the mess and in the failures and in not getting it right the first time. I mean, if I stopped when I failed the first time, I definitely wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Right. And now it's for me, it's not failures, it's learning opportunities.
Right. That's such, I think, a critical lesson. And I don't think this is unique to women.
Mm-hmm.
Although I think we suffer from it a little bit more. But I think this idea that, you know, you're not meant to do everything right all the time.
Mm-hmm.
You have to fail or you don't grow.
Right.
But that's not the message we're given as children at all.
No.
So I think that's a really important learning lesson. And I think it's super important for women entrepreneurs to say that out loud
Mm-hmm.
and rinse and repeat, because until you start the doing of that, you still are stuck in the fear of
Mm-hmm.
failing at what you're trying. And really, it's a building block, right?
Right. It's embodiment, it's integration of the mass, of the failure.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to integrate this, so I'm using it next time of what not to do.
Yeah.
And not ruminating on it.
Yeah.
I think that's an important piece too, not getting stuck there and just rinse repeating the thought.
Right.
Rinse, repeat, get out.
Yeah.
And try something different.
Right.
Right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
so I think there's beauty in being like, oh, okay, let's brush it up and keep going.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being here today. You have bring a lot of yourself with, and I appreciate your candor in talking about your health journey and how that sort of informed what it is, the decisions that you made in your professional journey. So thank you. How can people get a hold of you if they want to get a hold of you?
Yeah, and thank you so much for having me and giving me space here too. The easiest place to find me is on Instagram at Sam_E_peace. Same on TikTok, LinkedIn, Samantha Harper, and my website, SamanthaHarper.com.
Thanks, Samantha, so much for being here today. And thank you for tuning in to Her Table, Her Rules. Make sure you check out our community and become a member. We'd love to see you there.